Hello there, kia ora. I hear you want to write a submission for a select committee and might need some advice. So here, let me give you a bit of a hand. First, you need to know where to go to make a submission, which is, well, this website here, the Parliament website. You can also send in a submission by something called the Postal Service. Submissions that get emailed in or handed over in person to an MP don't get put into the process, so the website or the mailbag are your options for making a submission. Now, there's no limit on where submissions come from, so you don't have to be based in Aotearoa, New Zealand to submit, and anyone of any age can make a submission. Before you enter your submission, you need to fill in your details, and you can request anonymous submissions if you need to protect your identity. But if you don't, then your submission will be made publicly available on the Parliament website. And make sure you know if you're submitting as an individual or as part of a group. And that could be an iwi group, a business, a charity group, a book club, a community group. Knowing who you are speaking on behalf of and whose perspectives you want to get across is really important. You should also give what you want to say a bit of thought. For the Treaty Principles Bill, there's going to be a bunch of templates floating around from people who are both for and against it. And there will undoubtedly be AstroTurf groups run by the nastiest people with the most resources set up auto submission processes, which are just going to piss everyone off. But one thing I hear over and over from politicians is that personal perspectives are far more impactful for committee members than a heap of copy-paste form letters. It lets MPs see different angles on issues that they might not have considered. And with the Treaty Principles Bill itself, while there's been a heap of gaslighting saying things like the most disadvantaged group of people in the country who are dealing with the most prejudice are somehow getting special rights and that's not fair, or this bill doesn't change the meaning of the treaty while also trying to literally redefine what it means, that it's the latest in a long line of policy changes that ignore research-based evidence to help ensure equitable outcomes for Māori, or the fact legal experts like the 42 King's Council lawyers, the top legal minds in the country, came out saying this bill is dangerous because it literally changes the makeup of our constitutional arrangements and redefines our founding document. And the Waitangi Tribunal came out saying it would literally undo 184 years worth of work. You can look at things like how changing the principles changes the way the document's interpreted, which is a sleight of hand trick to justify this potential law, or the fact those principles that are in place now get derided as being created by unelected courts and lawyers because vilifying experts seems to be the go-to for bill supporters, and coincidentally right-wing nutjobs, or that some people simplify the argument by falsely saying it's an agreement between races in the loudest dog whistle ever. But the trick is to show how those arguments and beliefs impact you personally or professionally, depending on if you're submitting as an individual or group. And you can read the proposed bill itself on the website if you haven't already. But absolutely do some research around what others have been saying. You'll need to decide after all if your submission is going to take the side of those 42 King's Council lawyers, the variety of church groups, international translators, the Waitangi Tribunal, hundreds of community groups, the Justice Department lawyers, Amnesty International, former prime ministers and politicians, historians, educators, constitutional experts, and the hundreds of thousands who were involved in the recent hikoi. Or the guy who Snapchatted 15-year-olds to get them involved in politics, apparently, but wasn't happy to see them at the hikoi. Use the arguments to inform your feedback. From a technical point of view, remember that submissions with swears and insults are not going to be accepted. You absolutely have a right to be pissed off at laws being proposed, but language like that is unparliamentary, and doing unparliamentary things might cause the speaker to short-circuit, or maybe go viral worldwide if you're incorporating tikanga Māori challenges into the very British parliamentary process. But it will definitely mean that your submission's left out. So, as much as it's tempting to congratulate ACT Justice Committee member Todd Stevenson, who's also their art spokesperson, on finally reading something from a New Zealand author, it might be best not to. After all, he'll probably just scream something about reverse racism and threaten funding bodies. Oh, and because Te Reo Māori is an official language, you can make a submission in Te Reo Māori if you wish. Now, try and keep your submission to about a page long unless you're providing contextual evidence of some sort to back up your comments. With so many submissions coming through all the time and exponentially more expected for the Treaty Principles Bill, a succinct submission is going to help MPs digest it easier and speed up the process a little. You also have the option of making an oral submission. So if you get to speak to select committee members directly, you have a chance to do so. Possibly. With the sheer volume of responses expected, it's highly likely that not everyone who wants to make an oral submission is going to be able to do so. During the committee process on removing Māori wards, they actually split the committee into two and they still couldn't get through everyone who wanted to submit. And it's possible that this will happen again here, but that's not yet been decided, and the committee won't confirm the oral submission process until the written submission process is complete. If you submit on behalf of an organisation, you'll get 10 minutes to talk, and if you submit as an individual, you'll get 5 minutes. But if you don't feel comfortable making an oral submission, then you don't have to. And oral submissions can be done in person in Parliament or virtually using Zoom, which is live streamed. And sometimes MPs might ask for more details or your perspective on these sessions. For the Treaty Principles Bill, submissions are open until January 7, 2025. The only way a late submission is accepted is if you can prove that you tried to upload it before that date and something went wrong with the process. And I know that there are people out there suggesting that you shouldn't bother because National and New Zealand First have said they won't support the bill in the second reading, but they also didn't say anything about rescinding smoke-free laws and tax breaks for tobacco companies, and they promised to use evidence to base their policy decisions on and clearly have ignored that. So making sure your voice is heard is the best way to, right now, make sure those parties are aware that flip-flopping on this will not win them any favours or votes. And in Cabinet, they can use an overwhelming majority of submissions as an argument against anyone trying to demand that they continue, or they'll break the coalition and walk away. So take some time to do some research. Find what the personal angle is on your reasons for your views. Write up a draft or two if you need to, proofread it. Put in extra pronouns to scare the New Zealand First members on the committee if you have to. But most importantly, continue to make sure your voice is heard. Wait, you're still here? It's over. Go find another video.